So welcome everybody again. My name is Philip Lynch, Director of Special Education. This is our final SECAC meeting for the 2022-2023 school year. It's incredible how this school year has flown by. So we are very happy to have you here. And this is a special SECAC meeting. I'm going to go over the agenda. And if you weren't aware, there are a few things that are going to be unique this evening. The first of which is going to be we are going to do our typical updates, but we're also going to do a year in review. We had some wonderful topics this year, and I want to just remind folks of what those topics were. Part of my purpose for doing that is to make sure that if you see something that was an area of interest that you were not able to engage with or participate in over the course of this year, it might spark you to go look that up on our SECAC webpage and access that presentation so you can get the full depth and breadth of that information by looking at the recording and looking at the presentation. After that, we are going to also engage in something that is unique, which is we are going to be hearing from our folks who have been nominated for the SECAC co-chair positions. These are folks who shared an interest in these positions. We're going to spend a few minutes hearing from each of them, and then we are going to take advantage of this opportunity to hear from you all, and you'll have an opportunity to vote for two new SECAC co-chairs, and I'll describe and talk a little more about that process a little bit later. And then we're going to end with sharing some celebrations from this school year. And this may be a meeting that does not go all the way till 9 o'clock. We'll see what the timing is, but we don't have one of our typical large presentations and breakout rooms that we usually engage with this time around. But we'll see what the time span is for the activities we have on the agenda. But before I go any further, I want to take a moment to introduce my wonderful SECAC co-chairs. So I'll start with Amy. I see her on the screen. So Amy, you want to kick us off there?
Sure. Hi, everyone. It's really nice to see such a big turnout for our last meeting. I just want to thank you for coming. For those of you who've been to almost everyone, we're really grateful for your commitment, and anyone who's actually new today, I'm sorry that your first meeting is the last of the year, but we're really happy to have you. So I guess a quick introduction for those who don't know me. I'm Amy Bloom, and we have two boys. One is in Bethesda Elementary School, and our other son is in 6th grade at Westland Elementary, and he does receive special education services. And it has been a big change and a big learning curve for all of us. So anyway, that's all. We're happy you're here. And don't forget, I'm available over the summer as well. If anyone, you can still reach out to me and we can still try to support you. So that's all. Thank you.
And was Connie able to make it this evening?
I thought she was supposed to be here, so maybe we'll give her a few minutes. I can text her also. Okay, so when Connie gets in, we will introduce her. We also will be introducing my new coordinator, Stacy Heinze. I think I shared with you all that she has replaced Jen Strobel, but I don't think we've had an opportunity to introduce her yet. So she has not attended a meeting yet. So she should be here, but she was, I'm probably going to get it wrong. I think it was a dance recital for her daughter. So she is going to be jumping on a little late. So I'm sure that's an exciting event for them. So she'll be joining us later, and when she jumps on, if somebody sees her, please let me know, and we will introduce her as well, so you all can get to know her. One thing I will share, since we do have such a wonderful large group of this evening, is that a reminder that we do offer an opportunity for parents to provide public comment. And public comment is an opportunity for you all to share celebrations that may be going on with your students, an experience that you had that you might want to share, and also challenges that you might be facing with your student
or with your experience with the school. We ask folks to share that information in a way that is keeping the confidentiality of folks involved, but maybe sharing in a way that others will benefit from your experience, and a way that you are providing us, MCPS, with information that will help us improve. And this is the purpose for this meeting. It is for you to provide us with feedback, and for us to provide you with information, and for us to share information with each other. That's the community part of SECAC, or the citizen part of SECAC. So we are here to share information. It's not a one-way conversation with you, and so it needs to go back and forth. And so, if folks do have a public comment that they would like to make, we only ask that you email one, or at least one of the SECAC co-chairs. Their email addresses are on the website if you put SECAC in the search engine, and they can you can just alert them that you are going to be planning on making public comment. If you are able to put something in writing, sharing some of your thoughts, so that we know a little bit about what you're going to be discussing. And it also provides me and our leadership an opportunity to follow back up with you on issues that you may be discussing. While you may not be able to share some of the pieces of information publicly during the SECAC, you can share some of that in writing with us, so that we can then follow up with you and help look into whatever the challenges might be. Oftentimes, I'm able to address some of those issues right away, but there are many times when I need to actually take a look at whatever the challenge is, find out what's going on, get some more information, and then follow up with folks. So that is an opportunity that we would encourage folks to take advantage of. And again, go through your SECAC co-chairs for that information. Okay. Amy, I think folks are asking for the link to, I'm not sure if they're asking for the link to the SECAC webpage. Maybe there's some other conversation going on in chat that I'm missing.
Yeah, I think some folks knew, maybe didn't realize that when you're saying SECAC, it's our committee. So it's the abbreviation or the acronym for the Special Education Citizens Advisory Committee.
That's
but
us.
Sometimes we say it very quickly, and I have been working on trying to make sure that everything we do has everything spelled out.
Absolutely.
So,
Special ed, thank you very much. Special education, Citizens Advisory Committee. Okay, and I think Derek put the link to the webpage in the chat for you. Okay, I apologize for that. I lost my train of thought there for a second, but I do want to make sure that we share that we have some very big news today. For those of you who were watching the board meeting earlier, you would have seen that we had a couple of big appointments today. Our acting associate superintendent, Diana Wiles, was appointed to the position of associate superintendent for the Office of Special Education for Montgomery County. So Ms. Wiles is now official, and she is our associate superintendent. And I know Amy and I and the other leaders are thrilled to be continuing to work with somebody who's so talented and so knowledgeable. She is, for us, I guess the best compliment, real. She's a real person. She's not all about position or title. She brings her experience to the work. And she's somebody that we're excited about working with as we take on this challenging work. So congratulations to Diana Wiles for that. We also had a new supervisor position that was appointed as well. And I'll share a little bit more information about that when we get into the area supervisor year in review component. So I'll talk a little about that piece because there's a slide that shares that review piece that we discussed earlier in the year. That said, I'm going to turn it over to the next portion of our agenda, which is our updates. And so, Derek, if you're able to put up the slides, that would be great. And I'm hoping Mary Beth is with us. Mary Beth, are you with us this evening? Okay. Looks like we're missing some folks this evening, but hopefully she'll be able to jump in as well. So if you want to go to the next slide, Derek. So here's our agenda, as I mentioned earlier. So we will get through our updates. We'll talk about the year in review. We will go through our candidates and give them opportunity to share information about themselves, a little bit about why they are putting themselves forward for this position and to the position. And then we're going to talk about celebrations. Next slide. So a big thank you to Mary Beth. This was the piece I wanted to make sure she was here for. So we'll make sure we share this information with her. But a big thank you to Mary Beth for playing the role or being in the role of family service coordinator this year. We are seeking a new family service support coordinator. So we have that position open now, and we will be hopefully interviewing for that position soon. Looks like we have a wonderful group of interested candidates. This position, played a really important role in helping a lot of parents navigate the system this year. And Mary Beth was really instrumental in helping us to continue the tradition of what used to be the Parent Summit. This year it was a Parent Resource Fair. It was a huge success, and that will be one of our celebrations that we have a lot of terrific pictures for later on in our presentation. So updates from Mary Beth. If you want to go back, I'll just share that this is her information. She will be continuing to support us for a short time, a period further. And she has her information about how you can contact her there. She has specific times when she's available. And she has, I see some thank yous in there, done a terrific job of presenting at our evening workshops. And she has one more, I think it's coming up. Let's see, there's two dates. May 31st is the elementary workshop, and June 1st is a secondary workshop from 6 to 7. And the topic will be understanding assessments and evaluations, and it'll be hosted by Dr. Baldwin, a school psychologist for MCPS. So that is going to be, I think, a very informative session. 2 different evenings, May 31st and June 1st. And if you're interested in that session, you can go into again to our webpage, and you can search for that information under the let's see, she has the information on here, the Family Support Services webpage, and you can find the Zoom link there. Next slide. All right, I'm going to get into our year in review. So the first month, our first presentation for SECAC in September was really introducing ourselves to you all again, as we do every year, where we get a chance to talk about what our strategic priorities are for our superintendent for the upcoming year. We have a chance for you all to meet the different folks who support your schools. So at that session, we introduced you to the area special education supervisors and the program supervisors. And so that was really a session that was really designed to make sure you all know who you're working with and what our priorities are. Next slide. We then heard from our partners who support augmentative and alternative communication and assistive technology. So those folks really went in detail about the methods that we use to support students who need support with communication methods. Those would be students with intellectual disabilities and students who are working towards the diploma-bound pathways who need support around that augmented communication and technology to access the curriculum. And so there was an overview of that information and those resources at that October session. And I believe that was from Marilyn Jacobs and our Interact team members. And again, I'm sharing these topics. I know that I'm not going to go in great detail. You can go to the next slide, Derek, but I'm sharing these topics mainly so that folks have an opportunity if you missed something, to go back into our SECAC webpage that was posted in the chat, and you can certainly dig into it, look at the presentation, or just look at those slides to get more information. We then had a presentation from our transition team, and I know that transition sometimes gets confused with transition from one grade to another, but this topic was really about post-secondary transition. So we have a transition services unit. We have some new leadership in our transition services unit. In a previous board meeting earlier in the month, Patricia Cochran was appointed as our new supervisor for transition services. She is replacing Simone Guinness, who did a wonderful job for many years in that position. I think she was in that position for 10 years. During this presentation, we heard from Margie Parrott, the instructional specialist who was acting in the role of supervisor until Ms. Cochran was able to be appointed. So we heard from those folks about all of the different roles that they play in preparing students for post-secondary opportunities, the different resources, and the different agencies that we connect families with. And so again, that information, if you have a student who's preparing for transition, or you're interested in learning more about that, that presentation would be in our November slide deck and our November presentation on our SECAC page. Next slide, Derek. And then, of course, in December, and it's become kind of a December tradition to hear from our superintendent. So the last few years, it has fallen in December when we've done this. And so 2 years running, we have had an opportunity to hear from Dr. McKnight. She came in, she talked a little bit about the priorities for the system in general, and then had an opportunity to speak to some of the trends that we're seeing in special education, and to respond to some parent questions. And so that was our December meeting, and it's always an honor to have the superintendent involved in this meeting and to meet you as a community. Next slide. We then heard from Mr. Floyd Branch, who is one of our instructional specialists who supports our restorative justice practices. And so he is a specialist who supports a group of schools who are working to implement restorative practices. Restorative practices are so important to creating a climate of culture, a culture and climate of care within our buildings. And so Mr. Branch shared not only information about how we use these practices within the school, but I think one of the things that made his presentation so meaningful for us and for you all as parents is he also did a great job of relating it to your role as parents and how you can support those practices in the way that you work with your students at home. So that was our January session. A lot of wonderful feedback on that. Next slide. There was interest in hearing from our representative, Justine Pfeiffer, who supported the tutoring services throughout the course of the year. We had questions about how to access those services and what those services might look like for students with disabilities. And so Ms. Pfeiffer came in and she shared information about the tutoring programs and services that are available at your schools. And it was available to answer questions about those services. In March, we then heard from Anna Whitebroad, who went over the workings of ESY extended school year services for students who are eligible. She talked a little bit about the eligibility process and then focused on some of the logistics in terms of the what, the where, the when, the how the ESY will be provided this year. ESY services are going to be provided in different settings this year, depending on the level of services that your students receive. They may receive those services in local school programs. She talked about how they may receive those services in regional sites, and also schools that are providing summer services for students if the school is a Title I school. So she shared the ins and outs of ESY at that March presentation. We then heard from two members of our office that supports students with social and emotional needs. That was Lisa Corte, who is a a instructional specialist supporting our social emotional learning office or unit. And we also had heard from Virginia Twombly, who is a program specialist at our services in Magruder High School. And so those two teamed up and they talked about strategies for addressing anxiety and anxiety disorders. We talked about some of the ways in which, again, how you can support your students if they're experiencing anxiety. They provide you with some strategies and shared some best practices on that front. And I think if you're a parent who did not get a chance to see that, but is experiencing anxiety within your student and their challenges with anxiety at the school, then I think that's a presentation that you would want to take a close look at. Next slide. So we wanted to just talk a little bit about our wonderful resource fair that we had in April. So that was at Gaithersburg High School. Amy, do you remember the total number of folks that we had come through there? I can't remember the exact.
I know that it was far exceeded 350 because we had good giveaways for 350 and far surpassed that. So we need to plan for many more goodie bags next year. So it was well over 350.
So a wonderful turnout. And, you know, when we were wrapping it up around noon, I've got the sense that it could have gone on for many more hours. Folks were still very engaged. And so it was a terrific experience in terms of parents being able to access resources from Montgomery County Public Schools, but also met the many community resources. And you can see the pictures there with tables. I have to check 1 second because my computer's gonna die on me if I don't make a change here with this plug. I don't want to lose you all. Okay, hopefully I'm in good shape. So we had a wonderful group of community partners who showed up, and there's Amy. We had a terrific chance for parents to hear from a speaker, Dr. Banks, who was very engaging. We had terrific giveaways. I see Connie has jumped in because she's jumping on the chat. So we're going to have Connie, do you want to come off and just introduce yourself real quick for folks? Because we have a great group here tonight, maybe some people that haven't met you yet.
Yes, good evening, everybody. I'm so sorry I'm late. Never late.
You're interrupting these wonderful pictures, Connie.
Yes, and it was a wonderful event, very, very memorable. So I hope we get to do it next year, next school year. I'm already looking forward, but I'm sorry I jumped in a little late than usual.
Well, we're going to go back to those pictures, don't you worry, and we're going to slow them down a
Yes,
little bit.
we love
'cause
pictures.
There's some terrific shots, and some of you may see yourself and your children there. But while we have taken a break, Derek, I want to take a minute to finally introduce Stacy Heinze to the group. And Stacy, I keep saying your name, and I think they started to think that you were just my fictitious friend because I was so hopeful to get a coordinator. But go ahead and come off and introduce yourself.
Yeah, it's so great to be here. I am sorry that I joined late. I have a 4-year-old daughter who just had her very first ballet showcase. Luckily, it was right across the street at Montgomery College. So I quick zipped over here. It's wonderful to be here and be part of this group. So thank you.
Okay, and I see our Montgomery County Rec friends on Sharon on there as well. So I'm going to continue with this break before we go back to our terrific slides on the resource fair and give our recreation partner Sharon an opportunity to share updates. I still don't see Mary Beth, but if Mary Beth jumps on, somebody let me know because we'll have her give her updates herself too. But Sharon, do you want to share any updates that you have for folks since we have this break in the action?
Okay, it wouldn't let me unmute myself right away. Hello, everyone, and good evening. I'm Sharon Norcio with Montgomery County Department of Recreation, and I work on a team called Countywide Programs, which includes therapeutic recreation and inclusion services. And I put in the chat, and I will continue to be on and answer questions. The link that I put in there is for our summer guide. Registration just opened last week, so there's a lot of really great opportunities this summer. Some family events. It also has the information on our summer pools, which open this Monday. So both the indoor pools will be open, but then we have 7 outdoor pools that also open this weekend. And then we also have our summer camps. Our therapeutic recreation summer fun zones go from age 6 to age 21. And those will be at Glen Allen Elementary School this year. Some of the print material may say Wood, but we did shift over to Glen Allen, so we will be there this summer. And those programs start on June 26th, so not too big of a lag in between school ending and camp beginning. And we will be there all summer. And like I said, we have elementary, middle, and high school age groups. So we do serve age 6 to 21. There are still some slots left. Some of the age groups, there's not much space left, but there are opportunities. There are also a TR swim camp and a TR splash camp. I believe the swim camp is full. The splash camp may have 2 or 3 spots left. But if you use the link, and I'll drop another one in here directly for summer camp programming. And if you'd like to click the link, you can see locations, times, all that kind of stuff. They're all super affordable. If anybody should need financial assistance, there's also a program called Rec Assist. And those are pretty prominent on our webpage to follow the links to be able to complete the forms and have that posted to your account for registration purposes. We also have our free in 23 continuing. So if you as adults would like to have a free weight room or gym membership, you just have to complete that application. That is completely free. And you just need to be able to go to one of our centers to get your actual access card. And then you just scan in. You can go to the walking tracks, open gyms, go walk on the treadmill. If you can ever sneak away and have some time for yourself, it's a great way to treat yourself to some recreation and get fit at the same time. So if you have any questions, my information again is in the chat. I will drop a couple more links to things, but we're happy to be here, and I look forward to seeing everybody in the fall.
Thank you, Sharon. And I didn't get the memo, but Stacy shared that that Mary Beth was not able to make it. So I did share her information, Stacy, earlier about the workshops. And Stacy, maybe if you're able to grab the link to that family engagement part of the webpage and can put that in, that way people don't have to hunt for it. But so Stacy will put that in the chat, and what that will take you to is a link where you can see the information for those workshops. And again, there was an elementary session and a secondary session to hear from Dr. Baldwin, one of our school psychologists, who's talking about assessments and evaluations. Okay. Now, Derek, let's go back to the fabulous pictures. Can you back up a few? Because I think we missed some terrific pictures. I don't know if you can back it up. So I learned that those were not llamas. Those were what's the word? What's the other? Alpacas. Those were alpacas. So we had the petting zoo, and there's Chris Secan, our supervisor for our autism services. As I mentioned, a number of tables that were from Montgomery County resources, public school resources. We did give away books to folks who were there. We had some wonderful activities. The balloon guy, we had the tattoo person, the moon bounce, some crazy ring where you could throw balls at each other. That looked like a lot of fun.
Gaga pit.
What's it called?
A Gaga pit. Some
Thank
of the
you.
school playgrounds have them as well.
I would have not guessed the name. Okay, Gaga Pit, thank you. All right. We need some music with this. There was certainly a lot of music that day. We had a DJ. I recognize that person. These are some of our community partners that we had there. Different agencies, resources, Maryland Able. That was a very popular table, the Maryland Able table. And this, if you could hold there for a second, this is Patricia Cochran, our new supervisor for our transition services. If you haven't met her yet or recognized her. Thank you, Derek. Okay, is that it for our pictures? All right, wonderful shots. As you can tell, we had our photographer there as well. Okay. So Derek, I'm going to try to catch up with you here, but we're going to talk a little bit about our process this evening for voting, if that's what we're ready for. Stacy, are we ready for that part of the evening?
So
This is the
Yeah.
survey. Okay.
yeah, this is just saying that we're going to be look for this summer. We're going to be reaching out to gather some information for you about future topics that you're interested in seeing next year as we start our planning, and how SECAC can work better for you. So watch your email. That survey will be coming out this summer.
Thank you. I did forget about that portion of Stacy. So what we had talked about was, getting some feedback from you regarding topics. This format that we've been using, we hope has been helpful. Tonight's a little bit of an exception, but typically, we would be sharing with our primary presenters after we do updates, going into breakout rooms, allowing you all to dialogue with our presenters, also having an opportunity to speak to me if you wanted to share anything with me as the director, or talk to the co-chairs. So that's the format that we found most efficient, and I think that meets most needs. And you can see we have 144 folks on this evening. The virtual platform seems to be a very helpful platform for a lot of folks, and convenient. When we did our hybrid session, the data was pretty clear. We had about 7 or 8 folks in the auditorium, and then the vast majority of folks, over 90%, were online. So it looks like folks really preferred the online platform. So that said, look for the survey. And we're going to move into the next portion of our presentation. We do have several folks, and here's their names, who are going to be sharing some information with you tonight about themselves. We did send out the questionnaire for people who were interested in becoming a SECAC parent co-chair. So that those co-chairs will work alongside MCPS leadership. Myself, Ms. Diana Wiles, our Associate Superintendent, Amy Kropp, our Director for Pre-K and special programs and related services, and as well as our Fiscal Director, Julie Hall, who when we have any fiscal decisions or conversations that need to be made, we would bring her in. Anything that might need input around budget issues, we would pull her in. And so these SECAC co-chairs really would work alongside us around the information that we need to provide you all. They act as advocates for you all to bring information to us. If you're unable or have a challenge in talking to us directly, you can use them as a conduit, or if you'd like to share general information with them that you want them to pass on, they can be a conduit for that. They also are representatives for us as a system in the statewide SECAC meetings when there are state meetings of SECAC representatives at MSDE, Maryland State Department of Education. So that's another role that they play. And then we also tap the co-chairs as well as other parents. A shout out to some parents who helped us on some interviews this year, but we also tap them to help us make decisions within the system, as well as give us input around the interview process when we're looking to fill positions as we were this year. So thank you to those folks who helped in that role as well. So that said, we're going to move forward, and first we're going to hear from Latia Barrett. And so Latia, if you are here, we can move to the next slide, Derek, and each person gets a slide. And if you want to come off camera, introduce yourself, and we ask each candidate to just introduce themselves, talk a little about what it is, why they wanted to take on this role and what it is that they bring to this position. Okay, so I asked Stacy to reach out to everybody to make sure that they were aware that they were going to be speaking tonight. It sounds like Miss Barrett was the only one that didn't get that message. So if she shows up, please let me know. And Derek, if you could monitor the participation and see if she's on there, that would be great. And Amy's asking if we can pin the presenters. That would be wonderful too, Derek. So why don't we go ahead then to Jen Gagler, and hopefully I am pronouncing that that correctly. So Jen, if you want to introduce yourself and share a little bit about yourself for a couple minutes, that would be great.
Sure. You did pronounce it correctly, so great job. My name's Jen. I have a 4th grade son who is at Pinecrest Elementary School in Silver Spring. I work quite a bit in the neurodiverse community. I work for a couple different folks, actually. Sunflower Bakery, the Weinfeld Education Group, Dr. Dan Shapiro. Let's see who else. There's a few in the neurodiverse community who I've worked with for, gosh, more than 15 or so years. So what I would like to do is make sure that the MCPS parents know what resources are out there. A number of my son's friends are neurodiverse, and just knowing just how overwhelming the process can be for a lot of families, especially at first. Either there's a whole lot of information or they can't find what they're looking for. So I would just love to, help the MCPS families know that this is a great resource and how to reach out to folks with any questions that they may have.
Thank you so much, Jen, for introducing yourselves and yourself. And what I should have said before we started was that after we hear from the candidates, you're going to have an opportunity. And it's just, can't tell you how thrilled I am that we have such a wonderful turnout tonight on such an important event for folks to give us feedback on our SECAC co-chairs. So thank you all for rallying and being here this evening. And so after folks share, you're going to have an opportunity to select your top 3 representatives. We're going to have the top 2 folks jump right on to SECAC with us and join Connie and Amy as co-chairs for the upcoming year. And that will start with our summer meetings. And then we will, from there, actually have a third person, that if the third choice that you have, we're going to invite that person to be a part of some meetings next year so that we can have some transition. We are, given the fact that Amy and Connie have been with us for some time, we expect some transition in the following year. And so we would love to have somebody who can be kind of as an alternate, who can come get some experience. And so that's why we're asking you to look at 3 positions this year. And so since we're going through this process, we want to take advantage of your feedback. And as long as that third person is willing and able to join us in the future, or if anything were to come up over the course of this year and we need to add a co-chair, we would have essentially an alternative based on your selection process. So we're going to ask you to select 3 people. And Jen, thank you for being the first brave person to jump out there. You did a great job. There are no bad jobs in this process. We just want to hear a little bit about you guys. So Derek, if you want to go to the next slide. All right, so we're going to hear from Zhang Go, and I'm probably not doing a great job there. So Zhang, if you can come off camera and introduce yourself. All right, so we'll look at the participants to see if Zhang is here. And looks like Zhang goes by Paris. So Paris, are you here? Okay, we will check and we'll come back. We can always come back and catch candidates if they jump in a little later. So why don't we go to the next parent?
Hello, good evening. Can you guys hear
All
me?
right, there you are, Dr. Huang.
Right.
Thank you. Go ahead and tell a little bit about yourself.
Okay, thank you. Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Jingfeng Huang, and thank you so much for being here today. Let's start from my daughter, actually. I have a younger daughter. Her name is Emma. She is turning 11 next Tuesday, actually. She has a very complex disability that impairs her lifetime development. So over the past 10 years, just because of Emma, we have gone through a lot. I know many other families like us. We feel frustrated and exhausted. Sometimes we truly feel very isolated. So we knew we had to do something at that time. So the sparkles actually happened when my elder daughter, her name is Sophie, at her birthday party in October 2021, out of her desire and birthday wishes, actually, Sophie wished to create some social opportunities for Emma and other students like Emma. So she started a play group at that time. We called it SEEDS, SEEDS. Right now, our SEEDS has more than like 30 families with special ed students, and we have more than 40 middle and high school volunteers. So we organize many activities for free for special education students and families. So every week, for example, we have actually 3 times of basketball practice, 2 swimming sessions, 1 ballet class, 1 chorus group, and also family days for families to actually socialize and respect. So over the past like 1.5 years, SEEDS has become a tribe and a village actually. At SEEDS, our own families feel very connected and gets respect times. And I feel our stress and anxiety actually decrease a lot. So other families in SEEDS, they also share the same. But during this process, I start to realize that there are even more barriers for immigrant families. Navigating the whole IEPs and the special ed is already complex enough for them. Throwing in language barriers, culture barriers, and the different education system, if without a very extended support network like SECAC, these families will suffer a lot. And actually, as we all know, immigrant families, unfortunately, sometimes we stick together just because they are familiar with one another. So a lot of information sent in traditional format actually doesn't reach them. So, and that's why we call them hard to reach community. But as a community, we really need to connect, and sometimes we have to reconnect them. So SECAC really plays a very critical role in such a connection. I have known SECAC since Emma was 4 years old. I have learned a lot information from SECAC and a lot of resources as well. I have passed along the information I learned from SECAC to our SEEDS families and also our community. I can provide perspectives of parents who might be newcomers or have culture or language barriers. I can share our experience of building a community like SEEDS. I can help expand the outreach of SECAC. But most importantly, I want to have a very closer working relationship with everyone at SECAC and also MCPS Special Ed Department to better meet the needs of special ed students and their families. So besides being Emma and Sophie's dad, actually professionally, I'm a chief scientist in space science. I'm board members, VPs, and treasurers for several community nonprofit organizations. And I believe I have some extensive experience in community organizations I really would love to share. It is my wish that by working together with MCPS Special Ed Department and all of you here, our wonderful parents out there, we will really create a stronger community and a better communication, and we can reach out to more people and help ease the anxiety and isolation of our students and families and really meet their unmet needs. Just like what SEEDS has done for my family and our SEEDS families together. I sincerely look forward to working with you one way or another to bond our community. Actually, in my high school time, I'm actually a marathon runner and also a chorus singer. So I promise you, you will get a life-loving and enthusiastic parent co-chair if you really vote for me. So thank you so much. Thank you. Really glad to, thank you so much for having me tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hong, for putting yourself out there and for putting yourself forward. That's a terrific amount of information, and we appreciate you as well for being willing to step up for on behalf of families. Next
Thank you so much.
person we have is Jocelyn Jimenez. Jocelyn, if Ms. Jimenez, if you are here with us, if you want to come off mute and share a little bit about yourself. Ms. Jimenez, are you here?
Yeah, good evening,
There she is.
Wallace. Good evening, everybody. And I'm Wallace, and I'm really grateful to have my kids to the program. With the program, they will do better and they develop a lot of skills. And they have a good teacher, good trainer. And my wife and I, we are very happy for this program. And we still keep the program, and we wish the program can help more kids and more families. And we are immigrants too, and we're trying to learn, and we're very happy to be with you tonight.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for sharing. Do you have anything else you want to share? All right. It looks like you've gone back on mute, so thank you very much for sharing. Next parent we have, Brooke Levy. So Brooke, if you want to come off and say a few words.
Great, thanks, Phil. Hi, everyone. My name is Brooke. I have 3 children. One who's already graduated from Seneca Valley in MCPS during the pandemic. I have a junior currently at Seneca Valley High School, and I have an 8th grade daughter who is in middle school at Martin Luther King Junior Middle School, and she currently receives special education services. Just a little bit about her. She was mostly in the Learning Center for her elementary school, and she then moved to full inclusion in the LAD program and received special education services in the general education setting. And currently next year, she'll be in a hybrid program at Seneca Valley High School, where she is an LFI student, but is mostly in the general education setting during the day, receiving her special education services. I've been personally connected to the disability community in Montgomery County since my daughter was born 15 years ago. And more recently, about 4 years ago, I was hired as the executive director of the Down Syndrome Network of Montgomery County. And so I've kind of have an interesting position, because not only am I personally connected to the disability community within MCPS and Montgomery County, but also for my profession, that's what I do. I'm constantly connecting with families who have children and adults with disabilities, especially those with Down syndrome, and providing all kinds of program services and resources to those parents, but also to the individuals with Down syndrome and other intellectual and developmental disabilities. You know, I have an education committee that I work with, and right now our charge is looking at middle school and high school options for students on alternative learning outcomes. And we're really interested in working with MCPS, and I'm already doing that. And I'd like to do that within SECAC as well, and advocating for families and students for whatever needs they have that are being met, and finding out, let's highlight those programs and those students for what's going well, and then, you know, figure out what's not going well and make them better. I'm in the process of creating a parent-to-parent IEP support program. I work with a huge group of Latino within my own organization, and I would like to make sure, and I know MCPS does a really good job with interpretation, but also, like some of the other candidates have said, I think it's really important that we acknowledge that Montgomery County is the most diverse area in the country. We have 3 of the most diverse small cities in the whole country, and I live in one of them. I'm in Germantown, and I want to make sure that immigrants and then families who speak languages other than English have full understanding and access to all the resources that they need for their children. I am a huge proponent of inclusion, making sure that if, you know, our children our students who attend MCPS have that opportunity for inclusion, if that makes the most sense and if that's what the families want. I am also a huge proponent of getting general education teachers the training they need to make sure that those students who are included can access the curriculum, and including paraeducators and administration. You know, I'm a very friendly person. I'm collaborative. I love working with other people. I'm honest. I'm very frank. I don't beat around the bush, so you never have to worry about what I'm thinking. I'll let you know. I'm a team player. I should also say that while my daughter was young, I took time off, and then as I got back into the workforce, I did some substitute teaching. So I'm very familiar with classrooms within MCPS. My background is education, mostly with teaching teachers about how to teach. But I also have done substitute teaching in both the general education setting, the learning centers, and LFI classrooms. I am also an advocate. I work with different groups in Maryland, both in Montgomery County and statewide, on disability rights. And so that schools and other areas are included in that. We look at the whole person for their whole lives. So you know, while I specifically work with people who have Down syndrome, we are doing more and more for people of all disability or developmental and intellectual disabilities. And I just hope that I get to work with this group, because I already do. I just hope that I get to do it in a more formal way. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Brooke, for sharing that information. And I'm going to go back to our presentation here. And I think we have, let's see, I'm just getting caught up. One more candidate, and that is Allison McElwain. So Allison, if you're with us, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and share a few remarks.
Hi, my name is Allison McElwain, and I have a rising second grader at Candlewood Elementary School. My family and I relocated to this area in August of 2019. And we've had experience with a broad range of things within Montgomery County. We have experience in special education. We've been through litigation with an administrative law judge. We have been through homeschool with special education tutors, and I've invested in myself now professionally. I work at the Ivy Mount School, so now I'm able to see from a professional standpoint how the non-public community views everything. And to say it's been a long, strange trip is an understatement. I know that can probably be said for all of the folks that are either at this meeting or know someone at this meeting. Special needs parenting, it's really difficult and it can be isolating. The IEP process is very daunting. And in the last 4 years, I've really come to understand that everyone's doing the best they can with the information that they have. There really is no one size fits all approach to, to special education. And when I was working at the Disability Determination Services Office, everything was on a case-by-case basis. And it really is, special education, it is a child-by-child basis. And I'm a firm believer that there really is no value in complaining about something or saying that you want something to change unless you're willing to be at the table and be a part of the conversation and raise your hand and really say, hey, I see a problem. I don't want to be part of the problem. I want to be part of the solution. And you can't do that. No one made history by doing nothing. So we have to collaborate and we have to talk together. So I have life experience as a special needs parent. My son has developmental and intellectual disabilities. We've truly seen the benefits of proper placement and not so great placement. So we've been through different programs within the alternative learning outcome field within MCPS. Like I said, I work with a non-public now. I'm a transition services associate. So I work with the transition services department at Ivy Mount to help the kiddos that are 14 plus, so 14 through 21, with navigating their IEPs and how they can interact with state agencies as well as with colleges, if that is part of their future, or in the different levels of assessment, because my son, who is completely nonverbal and like I said, has an intellectual disability, is going to respond a lot better to pictures, whereas there are kids that are going to respond better to words. So I've been able to see through interviews a wide range of kiddos that can do a whole lot, and we just have to give them the opportunity to communicate in the way that they're able to. I'm pursuing my master's in transition services, so that's exciting. And I've also, it's been quite the turn of events, because like I said, we did go through litigation with MCPS, and now some of the people that were in that trial have become my best advocates within the Montgomery County Public School System. Anne-Marie Tagliaferri and Billy Adziniak and Taylor Hartman. And I am personally familiar with 3 advocates and at least 2 lawyers within MCPS. And I think I can really sing the praises of the extensions program and the staff at Candlewood. And I think Phil has gotten a couple of my emails through the course of the last few weeks, because I've been so impressed with everything that they're able to accomplish. And there's a lot of misinformation, and I don't think anyone means ill, but because there's so much misinformation within the system, there also needs to be an equal amount of educated and correct information. And I think both from having experienced it and also now from seeing it from a non-public standpoint, I really see the whole range of where everyone's coming from. So if I can be a part of the conversation, I think that would be great.
Thank you so much, Allison. And thank you for your kind words for our staff. And I also want to thank those of you who have put some wonderful kind words in the chat for our co-chairs. And it's very nice of you to recognize everybody. We have one more candidate. Latia Barrett is here with us. She was able to jump in. So Latia, if you are able to jump off and just introduce yourself, jump off mute, that is, and introduce yourself and say a few words about who you are and what it is that you hope to bring to SECAC as a co-chair.
Hello, everyone. I hope that you all can hear me. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. You might need to speak up a little bit, but we can hear you.
Okay, sure. And I apologize for the background noise. As you can see, I'm currently on a cruise. So I'm using the ship's Wi-Fi. So thank you. The background noise you hear is the ocean, and I apologize that I can't turn it down. I'm glad that I was able to actually jump in to this today, and I will try to speak as loud as I can so that I can be heard. First of all, thank you so much for giving me some space to sort of just introduce myself to everyone. A little bit about myself and sort of my interest in this is that one, I am a neurodivergent adult. I am both autistic and ADHD, as well as the parent of an autistic and ADHD child who's a student at Rosemont Elementary School. And special education within MCPS is something that is very near and dear to me for that reason, because of both the experience that my child is now having, but also the experience that I wish I had been able to have as a child in the public school system. I feel like it is so important to have appropriate education, resources, and awareness and acceptance around neurodivergence and the neurodivergent community and what that means for students within the public school system. And unfortunately, I feel that in some instances, and it's not for lack of trying, I do feel that in some ways there could be perhaps a little more support. And I would love to be in a position to be able to help lend my voice to that conversation and provide support in that way as the voice of both, again, a neurodivergent person as well as the parent of a neurodivergent child. I have, I'm sure as some people have maybe experienced this school year, there have been some things that have perhaps not gone according to plan, and maybe not just this school year, but probably since things have transitioned back to in-person from being virtual a few years ago at the beginning of the pandemic. And I think that in many ways, MCPS is still sort of working to find its footing as it relates to the services it provides to students. And again, it's just a conversation that I really want to be a part of, both to affect my own child's experience within MCPS, but of course the broader community that is utilizing the services that MCPS offers as it relates to special education. You know, my focus tends to be on neurodivergence and neurodivergent children, but I certainly understand that that is not where that ends. You know, there are all kinds of ways in which people who take advantage of the services that are offered by MCPS can use support from the school, whether it's, you know, accessibility or accommodation in any other way other than as it relates to neurodivergence. My day job is also in the area of accessibility and accommodation, so it's something that I'm very passionate about in general, you know, both in my work life as well as my personal life. So it's just, it would be a wonderful opportunity to be in a position to provide support and a resource to parents and to MCPS on a broader scale on behalf of students like my daughter and students across the county. I currently serve as cluster coordinator for the Gaithersburg cluster for MCCPTA, and well as former PTA president at Rosemont Elementary School. Just a little bit about my involvement in the school itself. I'm trying to think what else. I don't do very well with talking a lot about myself. I'm kind of one of those people that has a hard time sort of, you know, talking about things that are, you know, talking myself up, as it were. But in any way that I can be of service and of use to this committee, I would love to do so, whether it is in this particular capacity or in another capacity. I would certainly love to work to be more involved in that regard. I think that's all I have to say. And again, I apologize for the noise of the ocean. I wish I could turn it down a bit, but sorry about that.
Well, thank you, Latia. And we're really glad that you were able to join us and to say a few words. Thank you very much. I'm going to do a quick whip around so that we make sure that we remember who all of the candidates are. For those of you who are the candidates, as we get to your slide, we just heard from Latia, so we're going to start with her. So she just said hello to us. So we'll go to the next slide, and if we could just do a quick review for those folks. So the next slide, Derek, was which candidate? We just want to associate the name with the face again, and then people can have an opportunity to vote. So if you go to back up, there you go. So the next one was Jen, and I hope I got it right again, Jen Gagler. Jen, do you want to just say hello so everybody can remember who you are there? May have had to jump off. Then we had Dr. Hong. Dr. Hong, do you want to say hello just so everybody can?
Hello again. Yeah, I'm still here. Thank you so much.
Terrific. Then we had Jocelyn Jimenez. Okay, and then we had Brooke. Brooke, you just want to say hello?
Hi, everyone.
Okay, just trying to make sure everybody gets the name and the face together here. And then we had Allison McElwain. Allison.
Hi.
Okay. I don't know how you feel, Connie and Amy, but this is amazing. This is amazing that we have these wonderful folks who were willing to step up and join us. I'm just blown away. I'm really just blown away. This is just such a great experience to see so many talented and passionate folks who are willing to put forward some time to be a part of this community and to help us do the work. So So thank you again to everybody who put themselves forward. I'm going to turn it over to Derek. Derek, if you want to talk a little about the voting process for everybody, and remember, we're going to look at our top three, and so if we will communicate the results to everybody through our SECAC distribution list, and then we will be me and the co-chairs will be in direct contact with the three folks. Remember, we're going to have two folks jump right on, and then a third person we will invite in as well to get to know the processes, and so that we can have a bit of a smooth transition for our future. So Derek, I'm going to give it over to you.
Okay, so the voting poll is going to start right now. Sorry,
Dr. Hong, what's that?
I'm sorry. Do you mind to have a final call for another candidate, Paris?
Oh, thank you for saying Paris. Did Paris
to make sure maybe she's here.
We did actually have some contact with Paris, and so she is not able to join us. But thank you. Yes, we were in some I think email communication with her. But thank you for asking.
So we're going to start the voting poll now. It's going to launch, and then you're going to see the candidates. You can choose for your top three. And please let us know in the chat if you have any problems voting.
And I'm just going to give folks another minute to make their choices if some folks need to give it some thought before we end the poll. And again, thank you to everybody who was here this evening. Having 160 people present was such a important part of the process. So it looks like we have Dr. Hong and Brooke Levy as our two co-chairs that will move forward. And then Allison, if you would join us then as an alternative. And for the others who are interested, there will be other opportunities. And so we will be looking to try to involve you in other ways and in other important ways. And we have parents who are, like I said earlier, engaged in different ways, and that includes, giving us feedback on budget processes, but also participating in our interview processes and whatnot. And thank you again to parents who played those roles outside of Connie and Amy this year as well.
Can we just make sure everyone had I don't think everyone even had a chance to vote. Some people are putting in chat, and maybe then we'll
absolutely. Yep.
And then can we maybe make sure it's all set and then announce it not right away? Because I also don't know. You can't rank your top three choices, or was that an option?
No, we were just asking folks to put three choices.
Okay, so then how do we know who okay, I see what you mean. All right, and if folks can't access it, is there a way to do that again? I think it was up and down kind of quickly. Sorry, thank you.
That's okay, thank you, Amy, I appreciate it. But you might by meaning that folks couldn't access it.
Some people were in the middle of voting when you announced the winners. I don't think everyone had a chance to actually do it.
Okay, I was waiting until I'd seen the stop in the voting. So if there are others that would like to vote.
Sorry about all that.
No problem. I could see the results coming in, and so I was waiting until it looked like folks were done.
So yeah, maybe if there's a way to put it up and let folks vote, and then have a way to sort of officially close it and then count it. Does that make sense?
This is my first time doing this by Zoom, Amy. So,
Derek,
I'm not exactly sure what you're asking for, but I think everybody is there anybody?
Some people are writing in the chat who they want to vote for, and then.
So we can relaunch the poll.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's not going to continue. So people are going to revote.
Okay. So can people revote, and then can we maybe wait and make sure that it's officially closed and everyone can
Okay, I'll tell you
Make
what.
sure everyone had a chance to vote and
So
everything.
we
Does
will
that make
officially,
sense?
absolutely, we'll close it then at 8:20. And I will look at the results. We'll look at the results outside of this, and then I will share the results through our distribution list. But that'll give folks, is that enough time for people to vote? We can leave it open until 8:20.
Yeah,
Okay.
people want to give us a thumbs up, or is that good? Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
And I apologize for this being clunky. It's like I said, the first time that we've done this via Zoom, so.
Can I interject?
Yes,
I
Mr.
just want to
Harvey.
be clear,
Yes.
what I think I'm hearing is the voting that we done now will not be counted, and we all have to vote again.
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to make that
But
clear.
I think that could be a problem because I saw some people already left. Right, I thought they already heard this tally and people left.
It was
No, they
about
have,
4
they
or
haven't
5
left.
people though.
Yeah, I've seen,
It
yeah.
wasn't that much.
Yeah,
I mean,
I've been
I don't
monitoring
think-
I've been monitoring the participants. So there's 162 people. When we started voting, there were 159.
So I think I saw at least 3-4 people left.
Everyone can just vote again, and ideally it'll work out before it closes.
Also, I downloaded the results from the first poll, so if anyone left, I'll just add them to this poll, if that's
Oh,
okay.
that'd be good. Yeah,
Thank you.
I think that will.
Okay.
Excuse me,
So
where is the poll?
I tell you what, folks, I'm gonna ask everybody just to remain on mute for the next 5 minutes so that we can just allow people to vote without a lot of comment. And so let's just do that, and that give people an opportunity to vote. And so the poll will close in 5 minutes. And then we'll have we can come back on and at 8:20 and we'll say our closing remarks. Okay. So just give people an opportunity in silence to vote without a lot of comment.
Sorry, I cannot find the poll.
Eric, you want to help describe how to access the poll?
Yep, if you look down at your Zoom menu bar below, it's the dark bar. You should see to the right of chat an icon that says polls. And if you select that, you should see the candidates appear.
Mine just popped up in my screen. I didn't have to press anything.
Yeah, usually it does just pop right up. But if you can't find it, then just go to your menu below and it should be to the right of the chat.
Sorry to interrupt. I just want to remind everybody that you have 1 minute. It's 8:19. So if you're
Can
still
we-
indecisive,
Can
please
we
make sure you
extend the
vote.
time? Because there's a lot of people in the chat that are saying they can't see it. Derek, are you able to
Absolutely.
pop
Yep.
it up again or something?
Yep. If you're still needing to vote, go ahead and take the time to do that. We don't want to miss anybody. So why don't we just go till 8:30? And if somebody needs to take a break, and then we'll come back at 8:30 and do our closing remarks. So if you want to take a break and come back at 8:30, if you've already voted, that's fine. But that way we'll make sure that we capture everybody.
Eric, would you be able to explain again, if you cannot find it, what is the alternative, what you need to do, please?
Sure thing. So if you look at your Zoom menu below, you may need to move your mouse around in order to get your menu to pop up. But if you look over in the middle of your menu, you should see chat. And then to the right of that, you should see polls. And if you click on polls, then you should see the nomination and the candidates pop up to vote.
Yeah, this is Harvey Mazer. To the right of chat on my screen, I have share screen in green. I don't have any.
It's actually to the left, Derek, for us, it's to the left of the chat. It says polls to the left of the chat. Mhm.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
Yeah, to the left, I have participants. I don't have anything in between chat and participants.
Do you have 3 dots that say more?
Where?
If you click to the right, on the right side of your menu, and there's 3 dots that say more,
I don't see him. The last thing on my bottom toolbar says apps.
So if you're having trouble, I'm gonna drop my email in the chat and you guys can just send me your top 3 names and then I will coordinate with Derek to finalize the votes. That might be the easiest since we're having some technical difficulties.
Another option that they provided on the chat is to send a message directly to Derek with your options. Would that still be helpful, Stacy, you think? Okay, I see you nodding.
That's fine. We'll both get it. Thank you.
Okay, so feel free to send a direct message to Derek.
Yeah.
With
Either
your
one.
options.
So can you put up on the screen that list of candidate names again? So the people who don't have the poll have the names in front of them at least?
It does look like we have roughly 141 folks who have been able to access the poll. So it looks like the vast majority of folks are able to get into it. But if you are having trouble, you can just direct message your 3 names to Derek.
Excuse me, how can I send the message to Derek?
If you go to the chat.
Yes.
You go to the chat and you can select Derek Ritzenberg as your person you're communicating with in the chat.
Okay.
And then you can type in your names there.
We should select Derek, you mean?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
And just text him, chat with him those 3 names.
Okay.
And thank you all for your creative problem solving. This is, like I said, our first time doing this, but looks like it's going well, but we just we'll make sure we have all our contingencies covered next time we do this.
Yes. Is it possible to know if anyone's vote is collected? I think that's will put people at ease that their votes already counted. Is it possible or is it too much do this on fly?
I would say if you have a concern, you can email Stacy and we will verify that your vote was collected. But I think if you were able to access the poll, given the fact that we have 144 people who have voted in the poll, it's pretty safe to say that your vote was probably collected.
Okay.
All right, Derek, if you want to close the poll, please. And I want to thank all of our candidates. You all are amazing for putting yourselves forward to support SECAC. This is such an important group, and I think you heard that through folks' comments. And we look forward to working with our new co-chairs. We will contact the top 3 representatives, and we'll have 2 folks who will jump right onto the committee, and we'll talk to the 3rd person about being involved in some different capacities as a person who hopefully will be willing to transition in the future as we have somebody, one of the current co-chairs maybe stepping off. So thank you to everybody. Thank you for an amazing year. This has been a challenging year, I think, for all of us as we tried to get back to as normal as possible. Normal looks a little different now, as we all know. But the year went by very quickly for us, I know, in our office. And we couldn't have done all the work we had to do without your support and your collaboration. As I think what came through with some of the comments that some of the parents made is that we may not always see eye to eye on everything and all the different ways we approach this work, but I know that on our end, and for me as director and from our office, we have so much respect for parents who are advocating for their students. And we never begrudge any of that for any of you, and always want to hear what you have to say about your students and your children and their relationship with their schools and the struggles that you face as parents. And so thank you for bringing that voice to this committee, and thank you for the co-chairs for all of their work over the course of the year to raise up and lift up the voices of the parents. I'm so glad, and I know Amy and Connie, I'll let you all chime in and say a few last words as well, but I know I'm so glad that we had this process and we had folks that were interested in joining you. Amy, you want to say a few words and we can kick it over to Connie for our last meeting?
Sure. One thing is I see people sending out to everyone who they're voting for. So if we could, I don't know, Derek, maybe let's make sure that something happens at those votes. Also, I just want to thank the candidates. I'm really blown away, and I want you to know that, you know, those of you who don't get the position, we still plan on utilizing your skills and your advocacy and your insight. So, you know, please know that we look forward to working in some way with all of you. And we're really happy you came out, everyone. This was a great showing, and thank you for your patience. I'll pass it to Connie, but I think Stacy also had a wrap-up activity.
Yeah, we wanted to end on a positive note. You know, this was great. The voting was great, and the turnout tonight was fabulous. But we wanted to end on a note of sharing your school success. Many of you spoke about that actually in your speeches tonight. And we have a Jamboard, and I guess Derek, if you'll slide back over the slides, we can click and add our school year success. And we just wanted to kind of share what's been a great thing for you, your family, your child, that went really well this year. And you can click and add.
So do folks have access to that, Stacy?
I'm going to drop that in there right now.
Perfect. If you haven't used Jamboard before, we're introducing you guys to a lot of new technology tonight, but this is a good learning experience for everybody. So on the left, there is a toolbar, and you'll see something that looks like a sticky note on the left toolbar. If you click on the sticky note, it'll give you a little space, a colorful sticky that you can put a success or a celebration from this school year, and then you can drag it over to the middle of the board, and we can all see it. We can help arrange it so it is not overlapping with other stickies. I'll give that job to Stacy, and we can make sure that they look big enough that everybody can see them. But if you click on that, underneath the arrow, I believe is the sticky, and then you can just type on that any kind of success from this school year.
And I apologize, it's coming. Derek, if you're faster than me, I'm on two computers and it slowed me down. So stay tuned. One more thing.
May I just say, while we are looking for the link, just want to take a minute to thank MCPS and everybody at the Special Education Department for an amazing school year. And also want to thank Victoria for all her hard work and dedication through the years as a co-chair, and Amy, who has made our volunteer job so much easier with her great ideas and enthusiasm. I'm looking forward to collaborating with the new co-chairs. And I want to thank all the families who have opened their home to us every month, and who are part of, of giving themselves a gift of advocacy and advocating for themselves and their families and other members in the community. Well done, well done. So I'm looking forward to seeing you all back in October, September, right? September, and working on a survey over the summer to hear your input about what we should be talking on SECAC, what topics should we cover, who should we invite? So that's all. Thank you.
I see people putting comments in there, so that's great. So go ahead and take a moment to do that. I see some question in the chat about why we would hold the results. I just want to double check with Derek to make sure that we have the folks that sent him some of the results. And I saw some comment about making sure we verify that people were on the call this evening who were sending in votes. We will certainly do that. That's easy to do. I appreciate everybody giving us input on the process this evening. And you guys are getting to learn how to use a Jamboard. That's just a bonus. Mr. Mazer, I'm looking for yours. I want to make sure you know how to use a Jamboard. So we'll give folks another moment to do that. We'll just take a look at a few of those comments. And Stacy, you're going to report out the comments because this was your wonderful closing activity. So you get to say a few words about the comments.
Oh, I'm happy to. It's great to see that there were some collaborative meetings that happened during the school year. Some great transitions as students are moving from elementary to middle school and middle school to high school. Some shout outs to some excellent teachers. That's great to see. The resource fair, that was like my first week of working, and I had no idea what to expect. And that was incredible to see the turnout there. The growing confidence and independence that we're seeing in our children.
Well, thank you, Stacy, for reading a few of those, and thank you for everybody for taking a moment to put the comments in there. We will look to see what the other results are from folks who sent some information directly to Derek. Add those information, and then we will send that back that information back out through our SECAC distribution list. And I'll look at other ways to put that information on our webpage so that we can make sure everybody's aware of who our co-chairs are. And we'll be in direct contact, like I said, with those top 3 vote getters, because we're going to be inviting them in for our summer meetings and where we talk about our planning for the course of the upcoming school year. So again, as director, I'm just so blessed to have such an involved community. Thank you again for your participation this evening. We are going to close out, and thank you again to the co-chairs, to all MCPS employees who were here to help support the process. Welcome Stacy as our new coordinator, and thank you, Amy, for your partnership. We hope everybody has a wonderful summer, and we look forward to seeing you in the fall. So thank you again. Take care, everybody.
And the last thing I wrote in the link was we do have some books to give away, though.
I just keep ripping you off here, Stacy.
I just want to use every bit of technology we can tonight. So there is a link to a Google form. I just dropped it in the chat. We've got some free books. You'll see 3 titles that we're going to be raffling off. If you're interested, you can fill that out. Throw your name in the hat.
So if you open that now, before we if you're interested in one of those books, open that Google form now. So you have that open, because we're gonna close down the meeting. I don't think you need to have the meeting open to access the Google form, but you need to put your information in there about how we need to send you that book. So we will need your contact information for us to send you the book. But there are 3 titles. So a couple of those books we had available at all 3 of them, I think we had available at the resource fair. So some of you may have gotten one. No double dipping if you already got one. But we know some of you couldn't make it to the fair. All right. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a great evening.
All right. Take care. Have a good night.